Today, Israel has initiated its plan to take over Gaza City and has called up another 60,000 reservists to commence this plan. They've also approved plans for another illegal settlement in the West Bank. Do you believe at this point that a two-state solution is still possible?
Well, it's looking like a diminishing possibility because the Israeli government, including the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who we know of course is wanted by the International Criminal Court for war crimes, have talked about a greater Israel. So they see one state, the state of Greater Israel, which expands beyond the West Bank and Gaza into other Arab nations. And what we're seeing is the ethnic cleansing of the people of Gaza. Again, that's been talked about quite openly by Israeli ministers. But the very textbook definition of ethnic cleansing is to forcibly remove one population and replace them with another. And that is what we're witnessing. And the world watches on. And in some cases, I'm afraid, in the case of the UK government as an example, some are very openly complicit by selling arms and supporting what we're seeing from the Israeli government. So, look, to answer your question, I think it's a diminishing possibility, but those that believe in a two-state solution, like me, we have to keep urging world leaders to finally do the right thing, recognise the state of Palestine, and take meaningful action so that Israel changes course.
Yeah, of course. That actually leads on to sort of my next question is the UK's government pledged to recognise the state of Palestine in September? Is it a genuine step towards peace or more of a calculated move to sort of preserve public credibility in the wake of the growing pressure and while quietly continuing their support for Israeli military operations? We're still supplying F-35 components and flying reconnaissance flights from RAF Akrotiri.
Yeah, I think it's an excellent question because statehood, and in the case of Palestinian statehood, is the inalienable right of the Palestinian people. It shouldn't be conditional on the actions of the occupier, which is what the UK government has said. The UK government have said, in a really kind of bizarre logic, look, if the occupation and the atrocities we're witnessing, the forced starvation of the people of Gaza, if that continues, then we'll recognise statehood. If that stops, then we'll not recognise statehood. So it's a really twisted logic. So it shouldn't be conditional or caveated. It should be the inalienable right of the Palestinian people. And of course the majority of the world does recognise the Palestinian state. So I would urge the UK government to do as Ireland, Norway, Spain did, which is unconditional recognition, in the same way that they unconditionally recognise the state of Israel. If you believe in a two-state solution, you've got to recognise, of course, both states. I would also say the statehood recognition is one element. What we need to see from the UK government is, of course, stopping selling of arms and weapons and components to Israel, who are committing atrocious war crimes and a genocide, in my view. But secondly, more meaningful action in treating Israel, frankly, as apartheid South Africa was treated in the 1980s, which means that we're going to have to take meaningful action until Israel changes its course. I think statements of condemnation, threats around statehood recognition, none of that is going to make Israel change course.
No, of course not. And obviously for you, this conflict, you have a personal connection with this conflict, and I wanted to take the time to ask, how are your family? How are they getting on?
It's very gracious of you to ask. Look, I don't really have the words to describe how bad the situation is. My wife, Nadia, still has family. She has an aunt there. She has a cousin, Sally, and her 4 children, and Sally's husband. And you see the images every day. People are being starved. And we focus often on the children, understandably so, but the adults are starving as well. And forcibly, completely man-made. So we're seeing this kind of man-made deliberate starvation of an entire population. So how is the family? Well, it's impossible for me to describe. We sent Sally, Nadia's cousin, some money, £200 last week. And she was barely able to buy 10 basic items: flour, milk, I think they got some pasta. £200 on less than 10 items of basic necessity that'll probably only last them a week. And of course, we're in the privileged position where we can kind of continue to send money so that they can just survive with the basics. What is happening to those Gazans who don't have that support network abroad, like Sally does? So it's an awful situation, and one that I hope people will be held to account for creating.
100%, yeah. Well, I would like to thank you for your time and taking the time to speak about this issue and being so outspoken from the beginning. I think you're probably one of the earliest, MSPs or just politicians in the UK to be as vocal about this as you have been. And I would like to thank you personally
Okay.
for that, and I just appreciate you taking the time to speak to me today.
No, thank you very much. Thank you for covering the issue, and look, if I can urge every single person, whether you're a journalist, whether you're a politician, whatever your role, position, profession or status in life is, when such horrendous crimes have been committed, it's incumbent on all of us just to do what we can with our platforms to speak out. Not to be pro-Palestinian, pro-Israeli, pro-Arab, pro-Muslim. Actually, it's just about being pro-humanity. And if we can focus on that, then maybe we can make a bit of difference. So thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you.